Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making a creamy, delicious chicken pot pie. So let's get started. We're gonna start off with a bit of prep. 1 celery stick gets thinly sliced. You'll want about half a cup or 50 grams. Chicken pot pie is one of those classic dishes that my family absolutely loves, with a homemade butter crust, big pieces of chicken, and just a creamy sauce inside. It is so satiating and perfect, and it's really easy to make. Next up, about 1 cup of carrots, thinly sliced. I peeled mine, but that's optional. Our prep's almost done. I have half a cup or 120 grams of chopped onion. It's about half of a large to medium-sized onion. If this is too much or you're really busy, hop over to the grocery store and buy a container of mirepoix. They sell them almost every single store next to the salads. It's a pre-made mixture of chopped onions, carrots, and celery, and it's a great starter for chicken pot pie or soups. I also have 3 cloves of garlic. You could add more or less to your taste. You can mince these up or pop them through a garlic press. A final touch would be 2 teaspoons of freshly chopped thyme. This came right out of my garden. Just remove the stalks. We only want the leaves, please. It smells so good. My prep's done. Grab a large skillet and a 1/4 cup of butter. We're gonna get to work. Place your pan over medium-high heat. Add the butter, and we're gonna let this get nice and melty. While that melts, a word about the chicken. You have so many choices here. Most of the time I'm in a hurry, so I just grab 1 or 2 rotisserie chickens from the supermarket. I break them down and give them a good chop. If I have more time, I'll get bone-in, skin-on chicken breasts and thighs and roast those up. You get a lot of nice flavor from that. You can also poach chicken breasts. Like any preparation will work. You'll just want to chop or shred the chicken so it's ready to use, and you'll need about 3 cups or 400 grams for your chicken pot pie. Once your butter's melted, we're gonna add the onion, carrot, celery, and garlic. So, wow. I'm using a garlic press today, but feel free to mince. Some people have such strong opinions about garlic presses. Blew my mind. I, however, have very strong opinions about pre-minced garlic, so I understand. All right, give it a mix. We're gonna cook this for about 5 minutes, stirring frequently or until the carrots are slightly softened. In the meantime, enjoy the aroma. It smells heavenly, and grab 1/3 cup or 40 grams of all-purpose flour. By the way, if you like my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's 2 new recipes every single week. This dish, by the way, freezes so well. You could make the whole thing in advance and freeze it raw, or you could bake it off and freeze it once it's cooled down. In either way, let it thaw overnight in the fridge, and then bake to warm if it's been baked, or follow the regular instructions if it's raw. Chicken pot pie became very popular in the 1950s because it was a good frozen meal that you could buy and then just serve up really easily. My carrots are softened, so now it's time to add in 1/3 cup of flour. Just sprinkle that in and give it a good mix. We want to coat everything in the flour and cook the flour in our butter at the same time. This is going to be the basis of a creamy, delicious roux. This roux is the base for a creamy, velvety sauce that's so easy. And the sauce makes or breaks a chicken pot pie, in my humble opinion, along with the crust. The crust should be a beautiful, flaky butter crust, not soggy and sad. My flour cooked for about 2 minutes, and now we're going to drizzle in, while stirring, 1 3/4 cups of warmed chicken broth. Give that a good stir. I'm also adding in half a cup of warmed heavy cream. You just don't want cold things because it doesn't mix as well with your hot flour. Oh my gosh, the consistency is like velvet. It's so nice. And you can see how easy it is to make a nice cream sauce. It's time to stir some flavor in the form of a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of cracked black pepper, and my 2 teaspoons of thyme. Reduce heat to low and bring to a simmer if it's not already bubbling. And you're gonna cook this until the sauce is thickened. It can be anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes depending on your burner. This is like a dragon's mouth, so everything is super fast, but most stovetops will be about 5 minutes. Look how creamy that looks already. My sauce is beautifully thickened up, so it's time to add in our 3 cups of chicken. Just dump those right in, as well as 1 cup of frozen peas. You can definitely add your favorite flavors in here, so if you love those little cocktail onions, go ahead and add half a cup of those. If you'd like some sliced leeks that are sauteed in, just saute them with your onion. Tons of flavors will work really well in here, so have at it. If you're like me and you're often running short on time, you can prep out the filling a day in advance and then assemble and bake your chicken pot pie the next day. So you can work around smaller units of time. This has been fully mixed in, it's nicely cooked, and we're gonna pop this into a bowl to cool down while we form our pie crust. I'm gonna spread this towards the edge of the bowl so it can cool faster for more surface area, and set it aside so it can cool to room temperature. In the meantime, we can handle our pie dough. It's time to roll your pie crust out, so grab a rolling pin and preheat your oven to 425 so it is very hot and ready for your chicken pot pie. The crust is so important, and for this recipe, I have 2 rounds of pastry dough. It's linked in the blog post, which is linked in the description box. But you'll wanna have this nicely chilled and then slightly warmed up on your counter before rolling. If it's too hot, it falls apart, and if it's too cold, it cracks. Flour your working surface, and we're gonna roll this into a 12-inch circle. As a time saver, you could definitely use store-bought pie dough for this. Keep the pastry moving as you roll it out, and don't be afraid to flour your rolling pin as well. Very important. I'm working on a pastry mat today because it's actually a warm day and the countertop will just melt butter, which can be quite frustrating. This is your insurance policy. Nothing really sticks to it, and if things went awry, I could lift the whole thing up and pop it into the fridge to chill out for a few minutes. Do I have a 12-inch circle? Yes, I do. Okay, 12 inches attained. We're gonna roll this up, and this is the nice thing about a pastry mat. Pop that into a deep dish 9-inch pie pan, and I prefer to use metal. It just bakes up nicer. Transfer that over and just scooch the pie dough in. Don't press down, scooch in. I don't want to press this down just because it could rip, and it also stretches the pie dough, which makes it want to contract during baking. All right. At this point, you can either pop your filling in if it's cooled to room temperature. If your filling is slightly warm still, I'm gonna transfer this to the fridge and roll the top out. Repeat the process for your second round of pastry dough. There's so many fun variations you can do. It does not have to be a traditional chicken pot pie baked in a deep dish pie pan. I've made individual pot pies before where the filling is popped into ramekins and you warm it up in the oven. And for the pastry top, it's just been a lattice that I make. I cut circles, bake it separately, and then pop it on just before serving. This gives you a super crisp pastry crust with a nice presentation. One of the local restaurants we go to, which is known for its chicken pot pie, even though mine's much better, serves theirs with like piping hot filling on a plate and a big round of puff pastry that's also been baked separate, just balanced on top. These are both ways to avoid a soggy bottom. My second pie round is rolled and ready to go, so let's assemble everything. Transfer your room temperature filling right into the crust. Smooth it out. You want a nice even surface for the pastry top so it doesn't like fall down. Grab the pastry top, place over nicely. Trim to about an inch of excess. Now we're gonna tuck the crust under. It's looking good already. Very excited to eat this for dinner tonight. This looks nice, but we can make it a bit better with a simple crimp. So grab your thumb, your other thumb, and your index finger, and get to pressing. Brush with some heavy cream. This will just give us a nice finish for our pie crust. Beautiful, but needs some venting, so let's cut some slits. And I'm finishing the pie off with an optional sprinkle of flaked salt. Transfer this to a rimmed baking sheet. My chicken pot pie is ready to go into the oven, 425 for 20 minutes, and then we're gonna reduce temperature to 350 and bake an additional 40 minutes. Your pie is gonna bake up to be golden, puffed, and beautiful. Allow it to cool to just be warm, give it a slice, and just like that, it's ready to enjoy. So hearty, full of flavor, and just plain delicious. It's everything you want from a chicken pot pie. I hope you get a chance to make this delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my chicken playlist.